Well, hello, it's Rod again, Broken Nickel Garage, your wrenches and wilderness guy. We're continuing on my 2026 IBEX 450 adventure ride build. This episode, we are going to continue with installing a GPS unit. I am going to add a power port. The bike does come with two USBs. But I'm adding a power port. I'll show you where I'm going to put it and why I'm using it. I'm going to install a battery tender plug, and it's going to go up in the dash, and it may be dual purposed. I don't have heated riding gear, but you never know. And we're going to throw a Tusk Bigfoot print kickstand support under this thing. And here's our clamps. I will put a part number listing down in my description. It's a 12 millimeter bar. And I bought this one on Amazon. Now this is the mount adapter for the Zumo XT2. And from what I read, the XT1 is not interchangeable with the 2. So pretty important you get the right one. I'm just going to verify that it fits. Well, this is the Garmin harness kit. There's our part number, again, for the XT2. Now, this is the mount adapter for the Zumo XT2. And from what I read, the XT1 is not interchangeable with the 2. So pretty important you get the right one. Some little screws. Okay. Well, this is the Garmin harness kit. There's our part number, again, for the XT2. All right, so that'll set in there. There's our new XT2 connector. That'll set just like that. And then 3 very tiny screws. Okay, so we feed it in from the back side. And it is a nice tight fit. And then it'll kind of pop in. And we'll put 1 screw on the front side. And these are very small. They're a Torx number 5. We'll just snug them. Don't go all grip. Don't be a gorilla with these little guys. It don't take much. These Allen screws are a 3 millimeter. And I forgot my pipe adapter. At the moment, I'm guessing on the holes to align with. And just a drop of blue Loctite 242 on the screws. Make sure you put the little flat washer under your Allen head. So we want a washer is important. Washers give us more clamping force. More clamping force, less likely something will vibrate loose. So for my test mock-up, all I'm doing is putting the top plate of the clamp and just holding it with the two Allen screws. And then we'll set her on the bar. Now the wire is going to be routed different. This is just mocking it up. Yeah, I like the longer adapters. I don't want to set it too low. There'll be times I may lower the windshield. Don't lose your bolts. They do have a shoulder, and they are 5mm for the windshield. Kind of figured it'd be a plastic washer under them or a rubber washer, but there is not. Now you'll see one cap has recessed holes for the Allen bolt socket or Allen screws to seat. The push button on your latch is the top, and the cord should come out the bottom. I do have blue Loctite on these bolts, 242. I'm going to go grab a ruler, tape measure. I'm going to just make sure it's centered. Again, don't go all gorilla strength on these. Just good and snug. And a little Loctite. I think we have a nice setup here. Like I said, I think attentively I'm going to put a hole right here and a rubber grommet. And then I'll run the hose cable through there. The reason I'm going to come back here, I don't want it up front. I don't want it to get bound and pinched when the windshield's down. But yet that should give it enough flexibility to have it right on something like this. All right. Of course, it does include an inline fuse kit, which we will install close to our power supply. All right, so next stage is we are going to have to pull off my crash bars that I literally just put on a few days ago, my upper ones. And we got to pull this panel. And then I think I'm going to pull this panel. And I think that'll give me a lot more access inside. So I'm going to pull my upper crash bar off on this side. And to get to a mounting bolt, it's easier to loosen the fog light just a little bit and tilt it down. I'm cheating. Yeah, I've joined the Milwaukee fan club. You know, in hindsight, I really should have thought about my build a little better. I should have done all my electronics when I did my lights and before I put my crash bars on, because now I'm doing a job twice that I could have avoided. I went back into my dealer the other day. I ordered some extra body screws just in case, because they are kind of a special bolt with a shoulder. And ordered some of the replacement grommets for inside this panel, just because I'm going to start a tray of storage of miscellaneous parts that I think will be handy. Oh, I got 2 Phillips screws I almost forgot about. See, that's another good reason why you work on your own bikes. You learn all this stuff, hidden screws and clips. And so if you do have to do a trail side repair, you know what you're into, what you need. You build your toolkit accordingly. So I've got a screw right here that we have to get off. And you probably won't see it very well. Camera, I'll try to light it up. There's a screw right here that we have to remove. And then we have 4 pin clips in here. I want to try a zip tie trick. Screw on the inside is right here. That screw and the screw in here has to come out. Now for the hidden screw. Come on. I fell off. Use the magnet. Think smart. All right. I don't know if this is going to help or not, but we're going to take a head of a zip tie. Let's see if I can just wiggle it up there. It might work, it might not. It was just a thought I had laying in bed. Try a bigger zip tie. I just don't know if I can get it in there. Oh, it's working. Look at that. That zip tie kind of helped inverse. I hate putting a screwdriver or something in there, and sometimes it's hard to grab with your fingers. As you can see, you got these 4 little clips that snap in. And one of my plastic clips came off. Oh, it's still in there. I got to extract that. See if I can grab it with my finger. So, something I'm going to have to put in my kit or my IBEX supply parts are these little plastic clips. I don't see them lasting for long. Handful of removals or bike gets a few years old. They'll either be missing or broken. Another item I've added and have on order are new rubber grommets. Our next step will be to disconnect our turn signal. Set the panel up so we're not yanking on the wires. You can wiggle this and angle it and pull it out of the socket or leave it in there. So I'm just going to grab the plastic connector, lift that tab, and that easy. So next, I think I'm going to pull this outer piece off, and that should give me all the room I need. When I installed the fog lights, I worked through this hole, and when I did my fog light running lights, I worked through this hole, and it was a pain in the ass. Okay, so we are still a 5mm. Good idea to have Loctite on these. But they do have a little bit Loctite. Okay, I got to pull the inside radiator trim. So I think we have, if I remember right, 3 screws and 1 plastic speed clip rivet. 1 screw at the bottom, 1 at the middle, and then 1 at the very top. Very easy. None of them are hiding. Magnet. These little clips are awesome, but they're kind of a pain in the ass. You gotta pop the head up. They sell a tool that grips it, works awesome. I just don't have that tool. Well, sometimes I can kind of wiggle a pair of side cutters and pry. And we have it. Now we can remove the inner shroud. So we've got 1 more bolt for sure. We'll get that out and we'll see if it's ready to come off. Grab the right one. There we go. I think I did have the right one. Gotta explore a little bit, see what's going on. Found one right in front of my face. One more bolt. And so far, all the bolts have been a special shoulder, a bolt with a shoulder. Okay. So a little looser, but I just gotta figure out what I'm missing. So I got one more tucked in here. Sorry about the fancy camera work. The joys of working solo. That made a big difference, but there's still something up on top. So I got 2 speed rivets. Okay, there's another one out. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to pull the fuel tank bezel cover off. And let's kind of wiggle jiggle. See what's. Oh, I'm not sure what was recorded there. So there was one bolt under the plastic fuel tank front cover. So I had to pull the fuel cap out, pull the plastic cover, get to that bolt, remove that bolt. Now I think we're just more of these plastic lock clips. I'm still a little tight up here in this top front, so I'm being very cautious. I don't want to break anything. Okay, there's that. Oh, we're close, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So another reason I wanted to pull this whole panel, when I installed the CFMoto running lights, the instructions only talked about tying into the accessory wire, which is this guy here. It did not talk about joining this Y plug with the headlight plug. So I didn't want to just plug it in willy-nilly and take a chance of having a mistake, but a couple guys I talked to agreed, yeah, that's where this is supposed to go. So this white plug would plug into here, and by pulling this panel off made it a lot easier to get in here. You can do it with some double jointed long needle nose pliers, small long screwdriver, but I want to make sure when I'm all together with my wiring for my running lights and for my GPS that everything is routed nice and not going to rub. And there's a rub point that I'm going to take care of right here. So I want to be cautious that my accessory lead wire is not going to sit and chafe, because that will eventually eat through and cause a wire break. Not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. I may put some more plastic loom protection over it and then see if I can tie it back a little bit different. But the Y, if you're not sure, like I said, the instructions that came with my light kit did not mention this Y connector at all. But it does work. I now have low and high beam on both headlight and running lights. And I tied my relay for my running lights to the bracket behind this ECU module. And I ran a zip tie up around the relay to prevent it from vibrating loose. And then I have 2 zip ties holding it. It's not quite the angle I want, but at least it's a downward motion so water can drip out. Oh, that didn't record. All right. So, drilled my hole, ran a grommet in there. I'm fishing my wire right down the middle. I think I might be able to get a zip tie in there. I know I can definitely down here. So I've got it coming out through here at the moment. Now I'm debating if I want to use this power tap and build a Y to power my GPS. I do see a pair of bullet connectors back here. So we're going to use my power probe. Okay, I've got it's grounding. What happens when we turn the key on? Battery voltage. Battery, and then negative ground. So that appears to be an accessory tap. So as I ponder upon this, so I do have an inline fuse with the Garmin harness, which it's a 3 amp fuse. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in to my auxiliary circuit with my running lights. Should be plenty within the tolerance of this circuit. But I'm going to have the fuse so it's accessible down here. It'll be hidden, but at least I can get to the fuse if I have a failure for some reason. I'm going to cut it right there to start with. Hope I don't regret this. Take my strippers. What I like about these strippers, if you have an insulation, a duplex wire, it will just pull the outer sheath and doesn't touch the inner wire. Isn't that amazing? These GPS wires are, it doesn't pull hardly any juice. So. And I do prefer non-insulated terminals. Give her a nice squeeze. A lot of people don't do this, and I'll probably catch some hell. But I kind of squeeze on 4 sides. You can't pull that apart. Now to get some heat shrink tubing. Now what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to add some more wire for this length so it's the same length, so when I wrap everything up it ties up nice and evenly. All right, like I said, I'm going to add some black wire. It's a little heavier, but it should be okay. Okay. Oh. Just kind of an overlayer of heat shrink. This is why I like doing my own work. I've seen some of these installs at some of these bike shows and rallies and like kits on Harleys and different bikes. Now, there are some good installers that do a pretty good job. But, you know, most of them just don't take the time to add extra details like this. Okay. Now, of course, heating this is going to be a bugger. Yeah, I'm trying to get the loom higher than I can get that heat shrink. Should have probably only used half of that piece, burn it, but I'm not cutting it. Okay, we are together. I did away with the bullet connector. I went ahead and hardwired it, used some heavy wall shrink tubing with adhesive, and I can see the glue oozing out around my double wires. Like I said, I might cuss that someday. My fuse kind of got a little warm, melted my plastic. Yeah, shame on me, but it's my bike. So now we just got to tie everything up. And I'm not going to quite tie it up yet because I'm going to add a power port up here. All right, let's keep on trucking.